finished it.
Yeah, barely. I feel we're looking down at the, I'm not used to, usually my camera is up.
We'll be fine.
Okay. Welcome to episode 75. Oh my Lord.
Where's your voice? Where's your voice?
Eat, Drink, Write, and Urban Fantasy Whiteboard. Wow. So today we're going to be talking about using Pinterest in your writing. We both use it. And so we're like, just in case people haven't discovered it for themselves, we need to tell them about it. So that's what we're going to talk about.
And why we end up using it and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And what it is for those people, because I remember when I first heard about it, I didn't even know what it was. But first, how was your week?
Oh, stressful. I wrote a paper to be submitted this coming week. So this is coming out on Tuesday.
Did you get your edits back?
Yes, and I already sent them back again today. So hopefully I'll be mostly done. And hopefully I won't have to work too much on vacation. I'll work a little bit.
So you're like a writer in more than one realm.
I am. So I don't like scientific writing. It's a lot less creative than I prefer. Obviously, I write urban fantasy.
Although you have to be creative to captivate your audience in the scientific world as well.
It's not fun creativity.
Yeah. There's no dragons.
Yeah. No, I like doing the science. I don't like writing about the science.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But no, so it's been a good week because I finished that paper, and we're obviously together. If you're watching us on YouTube, we're in the same.
Cheers.
We're not in a room.
Woo.
And so we're on vacation, which is really lovely. It's lovely to be here in person.
Yeah, we're on a family vacation, so there are 8 of us. One we're still waiting on coming. She happened to witness a car accident on the way up here and had to stay to give her statement, which is the right thing to do.
Right.
Our trip up here, we all came in different cars because Taylor came with her girlfriend, Jordan and her husband drove together, because that way everybody can go off and do whatever they want to do throughout the week.
Right.
And your father was lucky enough to have me navigating, and I was using Google Maps, and it took us these back. For an hour we were on these switchback roads.
Oh, I think we went the same way. I think we were behind you just an hour.
He kept humming the Deliverance theme song.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop it.
Well, that's why I was talking to my girlfriend as we were going up too. And, she was the one driving. She's driving a, Jeep thing or whatever. And she was just like, I keep expecting to hear banjos.
That's exactly, she and Daddy are very similar in personality. So, yeah. I have, what are we eating and drinking?
Oh, I have no idea what we're eating.
I can tell you.
Okay, but before that, I am drinking just a vodka soda with lime, and I'm thrilled.
Okay.
So simple, fair.
Drinking a keto cosmopolitan. I have finally found the perfect recipe for the keto cosmopolitan. Although, for those watching, I accidentally filled the vodka up to here, which is more than halfway up the.
Just a lot of vodka is all you really need to know.
Well, your dad distracted me. So anyway,
sure.
But it's got just a splash of the real cranberry juice, because I tried the diet ones, the no sugar ones, but there's really not that much worry in a tablespoon of cranberry juice, and then lime, and I use the tangerine La Croix to give it a little fizzle. Yeah. And it is fabulous.
I almost got you orange because that's what you told me.
I did. To me, it is orange, but it is tangerine. You're right.
But my lovely girlfriend said, I think your mom drinks tangerine, so she knows you better than I do.
That's so sweet. I love that.
Which I think is hilarious.
I love it. What we're eating tonight, Jordan and Darius are going to make us a seafood boil.
I did know about that.
A low country seafood boil.
Ooh, it's going to be so good.
So I am very excited about that. But they'll be inside doing that while we're outside doing this. I have jokes.
Of course you do. Let's hear them.
Okay. So because we're doing Pinterest, they're Pinterest jokes.
Okay.
So I made a terrible mistake. I accidentally pinned a picture of a cute dog under foods I'd like to try.
Oh, God.
I know.
That's a little morbid.
I thought it was funny.
Well, that explains a lot about you.
6 hours ago, I came onto Pinterest for a how to clean my house in 10 minutes.
Oh. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
It happens.
I hop on all the time for writing, and I'm like, well, I just want to, just get some motivation going.
Yeah.
And then I'm there for the next
hours.
Yeah. 6 hours. Yeah.
And then the last one is to someone who's doesn't know Pinterest, you say, I'm going to introduce you to Pinterest, but first say goodbye to your family and friends.
I mean, honestly though, like
Yep.
you're just you just sit there and you scroll through the pins, and it's a whole thing.
It is. So what is Pinterest?
What is Pinterest? Well, first of all, it's a form of social media. Just throw that out there. But it's a visual.
Wow.
A visual. I did a shot of tequila before this.
Oh, good for you. I missed that.
Well, it was like half a shot, so I shouldn't even be feeling it, but whatever.
Well, it is vacation, so we're
a little bubbly anyway.
Yeah.
But Pinterest is a visual discovery engine for finding ideas like recipes, home and style inspiration, and a lot more. So like I use it for inspiration in my novels, which is what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, it's basically a bulletin board. You know, back in the olden days, you had real bulletin boards that you would put on the wall and you stick things up on them. Every classroom had those, that kind of thing. That's what it is, but it's online.
But it's online, right? And you have access to all these ideas.
Yes. Yeah. And so, you know, think about how many times you've been scrolling through something and you're like, oh, I love that. And you have no way to remember it. And so you're trying to take a screenshot or you're, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
Pinterest is exactly for that purpose.
Yeah.
It is like a social media bookmark. Like when you're on Instagram, you make a bookmark, but then I can never find the bookmarks again. So Pinterest is so much better. It also has its own lingo. So when you share something on Pinterest, each bookmark is called a pin. Oh, like you're pinning it onto the bulletin board.
Right.
When you share someone else's pin on Pinterest, it's called a repin.
Oh, so kind of like a retweet, like if you're sharing like a tweet on Twitter.
Exactly. You group pins together by topic into various boards or pin boards, these bulletin boards under your profile. And each board, as I said, mimics a real life bulletin board. You can share images that you find online. So if you're on the computer supposed to be writing and you're like, I'm just going to check Pinterest or whatever, or even just any search, like sometimes I'll search art pictures because I'm trying to find a particular aesthetic for my book.
Right.
And you find it, all you have to do, usually anywhere on the internet, when you hover over it with your mouse, this little red pin button pops up. And you can pin it right from there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you can do it from images online. You can upload from your own computer.
Mm-hmm.
So say that you've made some kind of meme and you want to share it, you can pin it from your computer. You can upload it from there. You can share pins from other social media. So you see something on Instagram, and since I use Instagram on my phone, I'm not sure about hovering the mouse over it, but I think if you do, the pin button shows up just about anywhere on the internet.
Yeah.
So when you first go there, it is www.pinterest.com. You'll notice a few things. It's very visually pleasing right off the bat.
I mean, it's got to be, right?
Yeah. Stunning pictures. But you need an invite to be able to set up an account. And that kind of threw me for the first time.
You need an invite?
Yes.
I don't remember getting an invite.
I had to actually find someone to invite me, but that was a long time ago. And now I think if you go to, well, you have two options. You can request an invitation from Pinterest itself, which may be what you did.
Oh, maybe so. I don't
maybe
remember.
They had a button where they invited you, or you can get a friend to do it, which we'll be more than glad to send you all invitations if you want. If you want us to do that. It is free. Well, it's free money wise. I guarantee you you're going to spend a lot of time on it.
It's not free time wise.
Yes, not time wise. You can search for anything, and apologize for those of you who know Pinterest well, but some people might not. I just remember my first experience with trying to figure it out.
Right.
There's a search bar on the top, and you can put anything in there that you want to search for. Like if you search for steampunk, you're going to get all kinds of pictures from that category that you can pin or just scroll through if you don't like them. The pins can be not just pictures. You're going to see videos on there. You're going to see images, and you're going to see products. There's a lot of advertising. So if you love the pin, you click that red save button to pin it to one of your boards. If you can send your pins to other people, which we do this a lot.
We do that a lot.
When she was writing her MacBook, it had foxes in it. And so anytime I came across a cute little fox picture, I'm like, oh, it made me think of her. And so I would send her the fox pen.
Yep.
There's a little, it's the little half box with the up arrow in it.
Right.
And it pulls up all your friends.
I think
stuff.
that's typically the symbol these days
Yeah.
for, sending.
Yeah, it's just that
there.
share icon. You name your bulletin boards and arrange them on your profile however you want. Like I have one for recipes and, and in addition to all my writing stuff, I've got other stuff, home ideas, that kind of thing. And you can invite other people to collaborate with you on a board as well, so that they can pin.
That's pretty cool.
Well. So if we were ever going to write a book together,
that would be really cool.
We would have a joint bulletin board.
See, I didn't realize that you could collaborate on boards, so I'm learning new things.
Yeah,
from this too.
Yeah. So I actually did this with, and I think I said this somewhere later, but your Aunt Shay, when she was having her baby, I was helping with the shower.
Yeah, the baby shower. Yeah.
And so I made a board for the baby shower and then sent links to everybody that was helping host it, and we would all pin ideas. And then with my Dragoncraft Creations, I made the invitations and all of that based on all of their ideas that we all pinned together.
Right.
But it was closed just to us. It was a private group. You can make non-private groups.
Yep.
Which now I'm getting myself all out of order. Yes, you can make your board secret. That's what it's called.
Oh yeah, I think I talk about that a little bit later.
Okay. And then only you can see it, so that when we did the baby shower, although there's probably people who would have liked to have seen our ideas because they're trying to host a baby shower. So I could have made it public.
Right.
But I didn't. So that's basic background information about what Pinterest
in
is
general.
and how it kind of works.
Right. Yeah. So why use it as a writer? Right.
Oh, good question.
Inspiration is a big one. I definitely use it for inspiration myself. I'll hop on and, like I said, I'll spend hours just looking and finding all these new pens to put on my boards that inspire me to write. It's full of pictures that are keyed to your interests specifically due to the algorithm that it uses, like as you like more pens and pin more pens and that kind of thing to make your own boards. So you can make boards for different things like you were talking about. And I have several to prompt my inspiration for my writing. And some of those are like, writing inspiration specifically, just get me pumped up to write. Character inspiration, if I'm looking to create a new character, if I'm trying to get into the head of one of my characters, I have a board for that. And then I also have like world building inspiration. So like stuff that reminds me of, it's usually like fantasy novels, but a lot of the time I'll use cityscapes to kind of get in the headspace of urban fantasy. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then I have a board for grammar tips. My grammar is terrible, you guys. I mean, it's just, she is my go-to grammar helper person because my grammar is terrible. I don't know what happened. I went to law school and my grammar went out the window. But they have all kinds of actual visual grammar tips, like a page that when to use affect and effect. That is one of my most, I trip up on that every time.
Affect is for action. Yeah, so if it's a verb, affect.
I might actually remember that one because your dad, every time I'll look up from writing and I'm like, is it affect or effect in this sentence? And he's like, affect is when blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I know you tell me this every time, but I don't remember.
Affect is for action.
Oh, I love that. I might actually remember that.
Yeah.
There are word lists out there.
Yeah.
And you can make a board for word lists, like another way to say angry. Another way to say whatever word. Another way to say said.
Right.
Which that's controversial too, because sometimes they say you shouldn't use anything other than said. And that's a whole different category.
I think it's, well, yeah, maybe we'll talk about that in another
maybe
episode.
A mini episode.
Yeah, we'll do a mini on that one.
And then resource boards. Boards. Wow. Now,
how are you doing? How's it going?
Lots of vodka. So just general resource boards, like if you find an agent that you're interested in and you need a place to stick it.
That's a good idea.
Stick it under your resource board.
That's a great idea for a board. I didn't even think about that.
Thesaurus information. I mean, any kind of resource you might need.
Yeah, anything you might want. You can also use it for platform and audience growth. You know, using visuals for your novels will draw in your readers. They'll be excited to see how you envision your work. Pinterest also allows your audience to learn a little bit about the writer behind the book that they like. So if you've already got a following and they, you know, you invite them to your Pinterest and show them your Pinterest page, then they're more likely to learn about you as well.
Yeah, I think there are ways to make boards that are useful as an author. I make a board for each book, and you may talk more about this later, but I have a board for each book because there are these general things that you just said, the writing inspiration, character inspiration in general, but I have a specific look in my mind for what Beck looks like.
Right.
And so I have a not Dragon Craft Creations, geez. I have a frickin' fairies. I'm writing during dragons now. So.
You sure are.
Okay, so I have a frickin' fairies book, and it's got, you know, a board just for that book, so I know where to go when I'm looking at that. I make those private because right now I'm just a novice. Well, I don't know. I've written for a long time, but I'm not published. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So this is just for me as I'm working in progress. You know, so basically, this is how I set up my board for frickin' fairies. You can make subsections, which I think you explained.
I talk about a little bit. Yeah.
But I've got a character board for all of my characters. So I've got pictures of Beck and her mom and her dad and just all of those people. Then I have individual character boards for my individual characters.
Yep.
You know, what clothes they might wear, what their style is, what their interests are. I have my world building board, which I think is wonderful. That is really brilliant. Plot point boards.
That's a good one.
Conflict boards. You know, we did an episode on how to write a fighting scene.
And there's I've seen a lot of pins out there that talk about that kind of stuff too. So.
And not only can you pin the information, you find the advice from other writers about writing scenes, but you can pin pictures. You know, this character is going to do Krav Maga.
Right.
And so I want to see what the different stances of Krav Maga looks like. And I pin those so that when I'm writing that scene, I can go back and see, now, how would she throw that punch? And how would she, you know, what would her feet be doing? And I can look at it.
Right.
Scene boards, of course. I think last year when we were up here in the mountains, we did a topic on scenery.
Yeah.
Basically, you have a board for anything that your book
specific book needs. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. And so then, you know, just for my writing inspiration boards, I use inspirational quotes all the time. They're all over Pinterest. You can use the search function to find. I was gonna ignore it. My mother just spilled a lot of vodka, and then she had to look at me.
I spilled it on my phone. I'm gonna move my phone over here. Okay.
I was gonna let it slide.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, inspirational quotes are all over Pinterest. And you can use those search functions to find quotes that inspire you to pick up your book and write again. So if you're ever in a writer's block situation, you can go to that Pinterest board, look at those quotes that inspired you to write, and get back into it. Writing prompts are also a dime a dozen on Pinterest. You'll find them all over the place, especially if you search them. And you can find as many as you like within any genre, any type, any specific type of, you know, situation that you're looking for. You're going to be able to find a prompt.
Yeah, I am a very visual person, so I actually prefer visual writing prompts over the sentence. I know you do really well with being given a sentence. Your brain just sparks.
Well, that's where the sentence challenge came from that we do.
But I see a picture and my brain sparks. Like, you know, Deviant art is a great place to go look at pictures, and just seeing the expression on that character's face while they're doing whatever immediately gets my brain going, and I want to write about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's you know, even sometimes when I'm gonna try to edit some of this. I'm stuttering. When I just want to practice writing, it doesn't even have to be writing prompts to help me with my particular book, just writing prompts in general, because we all need to practice.
Absolutely.
I like the visual Pinterest ones. That sun is quite bright.
And it's getting pretty warm.
And it's warm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I agree. I think Pinterest is a perfect place, especially if you're a visual writer, a visual person in general. And you know, what I'm going to talk about next is character inspiration. I think it's especially helpful there if you're a visual type of writer.
It is for sure.
Because, you know, we talked about using character boards on Pinterest, and it helps you to have like a picture of your character in your head, not only there, but also like you physically have a picture of them.
Yeah, I do this a lot. When I have a character in mind, I have a vague idea what she looks like or he looks like.
Yeah.
And then I'll go onto Pinterest and start searching. So if I know my character is going to have a pixie haircut, which this current book, I don't even remember which book I've got like 4 brand new ones in my head right now.
Yeah.
But she's going to have a pixie cut. And so I typed in pixie haircuts and it pulled up, you know, models that have that. And then I started to visualize her face and
what exactly
you
she
know,
looks
what
like.
does she have dimples? What color her eyes and that kind of thing. And I start pinning those and it builds a better picture of what she looks like. And anytime I'm trying to picture her to write her doing something and I'm struggling, I can go look at her actual picture and then it helps me get the words to write what she actually looks like. You know, I type in brown-haired male fighter or blonde female model, and that gives you great ideas to go from.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and not just great ideas to go from, but great ideas as to what you don't want.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, because sometimes you don't
see a
know.
picture and you're
She's
like,
gonna
no,
be
that's definitely
blonde,
not that.
and you see that and you're like, okay, I don't want her to have freckles, or I do want her to have freckles, or you know, whatever.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely helpful.
I agree. I don't think it's necessarily just for, you know, character, like their physical traits, you know, like their facial traits or whatever. I think it's also really good for aesthetic. So, you know, you can get, you know, what kind of clothes do they wear? You know, do they carry weapons? And you can get pins of weapons that they use. What shoes do they wear? You know, do they like certain colors? What about art? You know, find pins that reflect these and make a character board specifically with all of those things.
I love that idea. The whole clothing thing.
Yeah. I use that for my characters all the time.
I go down that rabbit hole all the time. It's really awesome for fantasy novels. As a, you know, urban fantasy a lot of times is us.
Well,
you know,
yeah, but
our world.
Yeah, but I'm not a fashion person. So the fact that I don't know clothes very well, even like in our world, it's super helpful for characters that, you know, are more cutesy. I'm not a cutesy person.
Right.
So like, you know, it helps me envision exactly what that is for my character.
Yeah, when I was doing CADA, which starts here in Atlanta and goes into that other world, I don't know fashion either, and so I have like 10 pins just on necklines for dresses.
Yeah.
And there's names
I have
for them.
I have one for coats, different types of jackets.
Yeah, because over there she ends up at this party and I wanted different. It's a totally different world. That's part of why people read fantasy, is to be taken out of the norm.
Yeah.
And so, but I had no idea. I knew in my head it's this V-neck thing, but there's actual terms for it, and you can find that on Pinterest. And
right.
So yeah, I love it. It is great for styles, like, you know, if your character is a fighter, you know, post pictures of fighting techniques, gyms, places that they might hang out.
Absolutely.
What would they wear? Do they wear leggings all the time? You know,
true.
Are they
always in tennis shoes? You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Do they wear the tennis skirts, where the, you know, or, you know, leather pants, like the stereotypical, you know, leather badass woman.
Right. Well, especially in urban fantasy, I feel like it's typical for the leather clad, you know, boot wearing, motorcycle
riding. Yeah.
But on top of that, like, even I feel like character boards could even go another level. So like create a board for your, you know, that your character themselves would create. Yeah, so like get into their heads and use it as a way to get into their headspace as you're writing a novel, especially if it's first person.
Brilliant.
Which I've never done it before. I think it would be really cool to do that.
I think that's I can't imagine what Beck's boards, her Pinterest boards would be a mess.
They would be a mess. I imagine she would have like cool like books and mythology stuff. Probably like bookstores. Like she would be neat. She would be neat.
Oh, how neat.
Right, because you don't have a need for like, I mean, I guess you could, you know, do pens for your bookstore since you have it that you're writing for. But for Beck, I feel like it would be very different.
Oh yeah, her idea, because I had to come up with what do I want their bookstore to look like in downtown Atlanta. So I was looking at structure, aesthetic, that kind of thing. But she would be thinking about, oh, how can I redo this, nook over here? And, how can I make this?
And she might have cupcake recipes for her sister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. So I think it would be a really good way to get into your character's headspace. And so if you're, suffering writer's block and you're like, I don't know what to do next, go look at that board and see exactly what your character is thinking.
That is a great idea. I love that.
A really good idea.
Yeah.
And then you've got the world building inspiration is the next one. And I think that's a really great way to prepare for writing settings. Pin pictures of places that you have in your novel. So even if you've never been there, and I'm talking, urban fantasy or whatever, but like obviously works for any other type of genre.
Right.
If you've never been there, you have a visual to help you with your descriptions if you pin them on Pinterest.
I wonder if Patricia Briggs had a pin of the troll underneath the bridge.
She might. She also can just go there though.
Yeah, she's over there.
She lives there. So
but yeah, that would be so cool.
That would be really cool. But yeah, no, I use it for cities all the time. Even if I've been to those cities like Atlanta, I've been to Atlanta several times and I still pin things about Atlanta.
Yeah, me too.
And it's just a really good way to have a visual of a city when you need one. To describe, this tall building that was in my, I feel like it makes it more realistic in your writing.
I agree. Yeah, right now I'm doing Dern Dragons, and so I've got this goblin world, and their whole world is neon. It's like underground, but not a cavern like you normally think of dark, dingy, wet caverns. Everything is neon.
Right.
And so I have a board with just neon pictures. Anything neon, because I don't know yet exactly what the details are going to be for that whole world. I know where she is right now because I know.
That sounds really cool. Is it like a rave all the time? But not like party? Like, is it like party? Well,
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. She's in trouble right now.
Of course she is.
It's back,
well, it's back.
So, yeah.
True. Fair enough. But you can also have boards for like plants and trees and like that kind of thing. If you need to describe certain scenery or flowers that are like, because those are just such small details, but I feel like it's a really good way to get into your reader's head of like helping them to create the imagery that you're trying to get across. And Pinterest is a great resource for pictures of anything you might need. Also, just like you said, it's a resource for learning about those plants and, can things eat this or are they poisonous or like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think like if you have witches in your book, you might want to have an herb board.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a great idea.
Or if you have a fire witch, you might want to have different fire pictures and how does fire curl and what does it do in certain circumstances. I have
tons of smoke pictures in my on one of my boards for one of my books, and I haven't actually started writing that book yet. And it's so I have smoke pictures all the time. Like, how does it move? Like, how can I describe how this looks?
Yes. Yeah. And I've been researching. I do have an herb board because I like in my Hallow book there are witches, and so I've got a herb, and I was researching poisonous herbs, and I'm like, it's probably a good thing that this board is private because otherwise I'd be on the FBI watch list.
Well, you probably are anyway.
And then I thought, you know what, I think all writers are on the FBI watch,
I've been joking with my girlfriend recently because we came across this meme that was like I think it was like the chicken bone one where it's like I need a good this sink has a grinder that can grind up bone, and it's like, what kind of bone? And it's like, oh, human bone, like a femur, like could it do? And the husband was like, no, like a chicken bone, what's wrong with you? And I had texted my girlfriend that, and I was like, this is hilarious coming across this today because I was just looking up hemlock poisoning, and she was like, you're gonna murder me someday. I was like, stay on my good side.
I was just gonna say, you just got to stay on the good side. What other boards what was next?
I think boards for magic in general would be, there's a lot of great pins and inspiration out there for just like magic in general. I feel like
spell casting and that kind of thing.
There is so many ideas and lots of art out there that can help you create the world that your novel is set in. And I use those types of pins all the time.
Me too.
I found several pins on different mythological creatures and legends, and that helped me build Mac's world because she is a trickster. And so I've been looking for, other trickster legends and across cultures, and I found lots of great pins and lots of really good information on Pinterest.
Yeah, see, I like to go across cultures for the same, you know, like we talked about in our Myth and Monsters, we talked about the Rougarou, which is a different culture idea of the werewolf. And so I like to take those foreign concept to us and twist them, because American readers at least aren't going to have a clue about that. And so, yeah, a board for that would be great.
Yeah.
I like to visualize how does the magic work in your world? You know, is it sparkles? You know, does it little sparks fly from their fingertips? Is it different colors? Is it lightning bolts? So I have a board where I have pictures of different things that remind me of what magic might look like in my worlds.
That's really cool. I have this book that I'm working on, the Smoke one, actually, that I was talking about earlier, is very visual magic, but it's very specific to the person. So it's an individual, you see it differently.
Okay.
You know, from person to person. And so I have a lot of pins from character to character about how they see magic, and it's super cool.
I love that.
Really excited about writing that book.
That is unusual. I haven't heard that idea.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. TM. Don't steal it. But yeah, so I'm going to switch gears here a little bit and talk about growing your platform, because that's equally as important as actually having inspiration for your novels.
Yes.
But Pinterest is a really great way to connect with your readers. It can help them learn a little bit more about you as well as your projects. And I know Karen Marie Moning uses Pinterest for her mood boards for her stories, and she shares those with her readers. And so everybody gets like really excited. We get to see her aesthetic for her books that are coming up and that kind of thing. But mood boards are really great. You know, if you put a specific mood to your book, that's a really good way to get your readers excited about your future stories.
I know when Jordan, my daughter number 3, she's in design, and she does mood boards artistically all the time for different, you know, if she were going to design a cafe, she has a whole mood board. And so using it in writing is just as common sense, you know. If you're published, you can use Pinterest to post ads about your books. A lot of people now are doing self-publishing. And so you can post ads on Pinterest. You can make little videos.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Post your book cover. Post blurbs to spur interest. All of that with a link of where they can find and buy your book. You know, if it's on Amazon, post that link right there in Pinterest. So to build your platform, that's a great idea too.
That is a really good idea, because you can use specific tags, hashtags for that. And so you'll be brought up on the boards or on the dashboards of people who are interested in your stuff. Also have several unique boards for your writer account. So, you know, have an About Me board. Your readers can learn a lot about the author behind the stories that they love, and readers eat that up. I, as a reader, eat that up.
Yeah, me too. Like you said, people love to learn about their favorite authors, and giving them that insight into their personal life really makes that connection stronger. You know, Karen Moning also posts pictures of her cats.
I
mean, her cat and the birds that are always those cardinals outside of her window that she posts in the winter with the snow on the ground. I just eat that up. I will go back to her board over and over and over. It just builds that connection with me as a fan. I think all fans are a little bit stalkery.
A little bit.
When it comes to our favorite authors, but I know it makes me love them all the more when I see their pets, or, you know, something that they like, her birds that she loves so much. They're not her birds, but they're outside the birds of her window yard. And you know, she loves them.
Absolutely. Also use, you know, post boards or pins about books that you like, you know, not just your own books, but ones that you enjoy reading, because you'll get to revisit stories that you love by posting about them, but also you're recommending them to your readers.
Other author boards are a great idea, not just for your favorite books, but for specific things in that book. So say you really liked the way Kresley Cole described, she did this sex scene when it was really difficult, you know, how do you do it when this and this are happening? You can post her book there, and so you'll know exactly where to go when you need to research how to do it right. Now, I'm not saying you don't copy her, but to go for that inspiration on, you know, how do you get that sex scene across? How do you plant a mystery? How do you plant that red herring in a mystery? Romance books, all of that pin the books, if you want, and you can make it private if you don't want anybody else to see. I know we're talking now about platform, but you can make these private, so that you remember, sex scene books, and Karen Monning from her romance books before the Fever series,
right.
Presley Cole, that kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, you can have all boards about other authors. I think is a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Also quotes from your own novels. Quotes from your favorite novels, but also quotes from your own novels. It's a really good way to engage your readers, also to reach new readers, especially if you use the right hashtags, hashtag urban fantasy, hashtag dragon, you did various things, to reach a broader audience.
I didn't think about doing a segment about the hashtags that you might want to use.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's kind of common sense too, but we'll talk about that at the end.
Yeah.
Going on about quotes, not just quotes for writing inspiration, although those are wonderful, but I have a board where I write down quotes, or sometimes it's not on my Pinterest board. I might have thought of it when I'm out at Target. And so it's in my notes on my phone, but I type dialogue that my character, I can hear them talking in my head. And so I have those quotes that I need to get down on paper.
Yeah.
And it might be, 3/4 of the way through the book that I'm going to need that quote, but I know I'm going to forget it. So I can put it in this pen, in this bulletin board, things Beck might say.
Right.
And it's right there.
I have a character in the Ara series who is just the most sarcastic human being I think that I have ever had live in my head. And so I get all these quotes that I come across on my dashboard that'll be just like these sarcastic snippets of dialogue. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'll put that in arts board. And most of the time, so I don't have a board per book per se. I usually do a board per character.
Really?
Is usually how I do things. And, within Aiden, I've got other characters in Aiden. So, I'll do subsections or whatever.
You have the board for your Aiden book is Aiden.
It's Aiden, but I do have subsections within Aiden that have their own characters. Right. Okay. Because Aiden is the main character. I write in first person, and she is the main character.
Okay.
So I have her.
So is it under Aiden that you do your world building board and all of that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So oh no. I lost my notes. Sorry, I'm trying to do this on the computer. A few more unique boards that are specific in themes is always a good idea. Anything that you want. So it could be cats, it could be plants, it could be mountains, it could be the beach, aesthetic kind of thing. But don't overload your page with too many of them. I feel like you can overwhelm your audience a lot by doing that. But for me specifically, I like nature. I have a nature board on my Pinterest. Cats, I adore my cat, so I adore cats in general. And then I have a poetry board, and there's a lot of really good poetry that just inspires me to write. It gets me thinking about various themes, and there's a lot of really good quotes on my poetry board.
Is amazing for descriptions, beyond saying the car is red. Poetry takes the car is red and turns it into something beautiful, and it helps open your mind to thinking about things in different ways, which then in turn can help you describe things in your book.
One of my favorite, so it's not even about descriptions, I like thinking about it in terms of characterization. So one of my favorite poetry quotes that I have on my board is, "Picture a monster. Why is it a monster?" And that's it. That's the quote. And it's one of my favorite quotes because it makes you think about why is what you pictured a monster.
Yeah.
What makes it a monster?
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorites. So I pin a lot of quotes like that from my poetry.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that a lot. Yeah. And don't forget, I actually don't have an author Pinterest.
Right.
My Pinterest is Dragoncraft Creations.
Yeah, it is.
Because I started it for my business. And then as I started writing, everything is under Dragoncraft Creations. So if I ever do get published, I'm going to have to create myself an author page. And what I was leading up to was, don't forget you can make boards secret.
Oh, right.
So, if you want to limit it to nature, cats, and poetry, but you still want that recipe for, country fried steak, you can keep that secret to yourself.
Right.
Because you don't want your platform muddled with that kind of thing.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, good point.
Exactly. And then I just have like a few other tips for using Pinterest as a writer. I think there are several ways that you can do it. We absolutely have not talked about all of them here.
Oh, definitely.
If you guys have cool ways of using it, please let us know. But here's some other tips. Use sections within your board. So I talked about this a little bit, but for one of my novels, I have like a general mood and aesthetic pins for the series as a whole. And this is my Aiden book that I am writing. And then just like the general Aiden book, and it's called Aiden. It's the general, mood of the series.
Is it a private board?
It is. Okay. I keep all of my stuff private again. Well, like you said, I'm not published yet. So I keep all of my stuff private for now. If I ever end up publishing or self-publishing or whatever I end up doing, then I'll probably make new boards to pick and choose exactly what I want to share about it.
Yeah, to be seen.
Right.
Yeah.
But I add sections specifically within my boards to encompass characters and setting and very specific things that I want to separate from the general mood of my boards. You can also use Pinterest for storyboarding. I think this is a really cool idea. Did I say that right? I'm a little drunk.
Yeah, no, you did.
Wonderful.
I'm just raising my eyebrows because I think it's brilliant.
Oh, good. But yeah, so visual timelines of your novel. And I think we talked about this a little bit before in one of our previous episodes.
I think we did. It's something I still haven't tried. I want to try that because I am so visual. I think it is a great idea.
Yeah.
I had just forgotten about it until you said that.
Yeah, I think it's a unique idea. I don't quite know how I would do it. Because storyboarding is so time specific. But you can rearrange your pins in whatever order you want them to be. So I think it's a really unique idea. I think it's a good way to get past writer's block.
Yeah.
If you don't quite know where your next plot point is, like you said earlier, you use them for plot points. You can put them in chronological order. I think it's a really good, interesting idea to get past writer's block.
Yeah, Pinterest is very versatile. You can delete, you can move things around, you can rename sections, you can totally change and make a whole nother board if you don't want to keep doing subsections under this one. You're like, well, this really needs its own board. So you can do that.
Yeah. Also keep a board for writing tips. Writing tips that you find helpful. I have a whole board with like 160 pins in it right now with just writing tips, the difference between lie, lay, and, like that kind of thing. A is
for action.
Exactly.
And affect.
Exactly. Or, even like, this is the general formula for a story.
I like to post those.
I do too. So I have a whole board that includes all of that stuff, and I'll go and look through it and it'll inspire me to write and, all that jazz. Use keywords in your pin description. So this is kind of what I was getting at with the hashtag.
Yeah.
To draw in your target audience. So, if your novel involves dragons and you post a picture of a dragon and you have a description for it, just include keywords.
Hashtag dragon. And what I have found is that you can search Google for hashtag ideas for Pinterest boards. So if you're stuck and you're like, I want to get this out to my audience, what should I use? You can actually Google hashtags.
Yeah.
And that'll help you figure out how to do that in your pin descriptions.
Yeah, definitely. I think I do that a lot for Instagram. I've looked up hashtags for Instagram and ways to reach the writing community and the readers that I'm wanting to draw in with my books and that kind of thing. Yeah. Stay on theme. So, keep your boards relevant to what you want to share about yourself and your works as an author. Keep, like you said, keep ones private for yourself, like recipes that you're interested in, and like that kind of thing. But stay on theme. It'll draw in your readers. It'll be a very clean space for them to come and check out your works and who you are as an author.
Yeah.
But that is all I have on Pinterest.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we touched on the main things. Y'all just go and play with it.
It's a lot of fun.
You're going to have your own.
You'll lose a lot of your life. Sorry.
Yeah, you will. But you're going to get on there and have your own revelations about, oh my God, this is perfect for my book because.
Right.
And, let us know because we would love to pass it on.
Right. I do have an interview question for
you.
What's your favorite type of board to create on Pinterest?
Ooh. I have a choice of two.
Yeah.
It's either character building or world building. maybe I would say maybe world building is my favorite, just because I love the fantasy type pictures.
Yeah.
And all of my books, even if they're urban fantasy, have ethereal parts to them. I love fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you?
I think general inspiration. So I have this board that I have where the pins are they don't have a theme, but every single one of them, for whatever reason, when I saw it, made me want to write.
Okay.
And so it's two characters kissing under the stars, and I was like, that's really like, that makes me want to go write about a couple who ended up in this place, and one of them's holding a sword, and like that kind of thing. And I was like, I want to go and help that.
What led to that point? I love that.
So I think general inspiration, writing inspiration boards, anything that makes me want to write, I get very excited about it. I can go and look back at it and be like, I'm going to go right now. That makes me want to write. I'm going to go do that.
That's neat.
So awesome.
Okay.
I also have a sentence challenge for those of you who are interested in writing a page using this sentence, or, whatever length feels right to you. We don't care. But this one is, let's put a pin in that for just a minute.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I try to make them a little bit relevant to the week.
Like my jokes, I try.
Yes. Oh, your jokes are great. They're great.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for listening. Hope this was helpful for you. We've talked about doing it for so long. I thought it was finally a good idea to actually go ahead and do it. Come visit us at our website, www.eatdrinkbrightpodcast.com.
Yes.
I really need to write this down.
Probably.
Our Patreon, if you'd like to support us, is www.patreon.com/EDW.
Yep.
We do have some patrons. Thank you very much to Deanna and Jen, for sure. They have some things available to them that are only available to our patrons on the Patreon site. So, and I think one of them was story.
I did a timeline.
A timeline.
Yep, I made a timeline for you guys. Oh, we need to post the conflict sheet that I have.
Yes, and she's got that conflict sheet that we're going to post. So yeah, special things for our patrons. So come support us. That's all I can think of.
I think so.
You can find all of our social media and our email and everything. Contact us through our email. That's the best way to do it.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.